In today's video, we are going to build some iconic mocks from Season 2, Legacy of the Green Ninja. This is going to be an epic compilation video, starting it out with the Grundle, a fearsome Ninjago creature. This is a very ancient creature that first appeared in the episode Child's Play. Garmadon brings it back to life with his Mech weapon, and this monster starts terrorizing Ninjago until the ninja come to their rescue. With all that aside, let's start building. I got out all my dark red pieces. I had to be very conservative with my piece usage because I didn't have that much dark red to work with. I added a bunch of bright red spikes and put in eyes that look straight into your soul. I also laid on a massive rack of teeth for this guy so he could rack up those ninjas, and now I can terrorize the citizens of Ninjago until Lloyd shows up. Oh, great. And we're gonna see which one of these Lloyds can defeat the Grundle in a fist fight.
It's done again. Looks.
Next up, we got ZX Lloyd. Next up, Casual Lloyd. Nope. Dead. Prime Empire Lloyd. Scuba Lloyd. Hero Lloyd. Oh, Jungle Lloyd. And a Golden Lloyd. Oh, they're officially extinct, guys. Our next build for the compilation is the Lighthouse, where Dr. Julian resides. For this first set of minifigures, we're going to build ZX Zane and ZX J. We are also going to build up my custom Dr. Julian minifigure and his robot, Tidy, which came in the 2016 Lighthouse Siege. Now we can recreate this cute family reunion before they get eaten by the Leviathan.
Now my responsibility is to start working on the lighthouse. So let's start with the base, for which I got a 32 by 32 base plate. From there I started planning out where the shards of rock would come out, along with the actual placement of the lighthouse. I covered this base plate with a technique similar to the Ninjago City. For the seafoam breaking on the rocks, I used white leaves and little undecorated Lego birds. I also left a few studs exposed in the water where I added floating lanterns to remember nearby. The build is going to end up having 3 different stories, so let's start work on the first one. The outside of this is pretty simple, as it's just the rock that the lighthouse is built on. We also have to incorporate a small beach and the steep stairs going up to the door at the front. Not even joking, I used up most of my dark gray slopes just for this rock structure. The end result is very jagged and asymmetrical, matching the rocky form of the show. It's time for level 2. This level takes up most of the structure of the build, and I spent a lot of time looking at concept art and pictures from the show, and to make it as accurate as possible. Each different floor is surrounded by a layer of wood reinforcement, and the pillars on the side share the same trait. The walls within, though, I tried to texture as much as possible, using profile bricks, snot building, but the hardest part by far was installing the stairs. This entire second level is just a massive staircase to the top floor. But working with the scale I'd been building at, I needed to make them only 3 studs wide. Thankfully, I was able to stabilize it by locking some of the stairs into the wall. And for the final detailing, I added a lantern, a table with a skeleton head on it, and a chain hanging down through the center of the stairs. It's now time for level 3. This is the top and final layer of the lighthouse, which means it needs a light. Again, I spent a lot of time looking at concept art for this, in order to get the railing, balcony, and interior as accurate as possible. After tiling off the balcony and the railing, I started on the walls, which were a combination of light gray and dark gray. Tried to fit a lot of textured plates and bricks into there to give it a very rugged look. The roof of this build is really where you can see the Japanese style come through. To bring that idea across, I used some of those new oriental roof corner pieces in dark brown along the edge, while constructing the rest of the roof out of a mixture of black and dark blue. I also made 2 ridges out of candlesticks and topped it off. Inside of that is an actual Lego light brick that you can turn on to activate the lighthouse. For the interior of the top floor, I made a table with a map of the Dark Island on it, a small desk with Dr. Julian's symbol, and a chair with a lantern. This is for when Dr. Julian lived there. The Leviathan in the show really stands out because it has 3 eyes at the tip of one of its tentacles. So using dark blue pieces and a lot of little ball and socket joints, I was able to make this tentacle stretching out of the water, trying to look in at the windows of the lighthouse.
You see a lot of different giant octopus, giant squids, giant krakens throughout Ninjago. So the main color I'm going to use here is teal. And I made a circle of 10 socket joints that could connect all the tentacles. So here's a table of the different eyes they make. They make tiny 1x1s, 2x2s, and they make 3x3s, which are huge. So we're going to use those ones. We've also got some giant tentacles and a couple smaller tentacles. Oh, there's a bug! I also added a terrifying mouth. Now this massive Leviathan is complete.
It's almost complete, but for a final touch, I'm going to build a nice stand to set it in. Because of the thickness of the 32 by 32 plate, this stand actually sets the water half a plate below the edge of the base. This set was super fun to build.
Once a ninja make it to the Dark Island, they need a mech to scale the mountain to get to the Temple of Light. This is Kai's fire mech, but let's rebuild it so it can actually make it up the mountain. Let's start with the minifigures. Obviously, we need Kai. It looks like I had a little bit too much fun playing with this suit as a kid, and because I don't want Kai to look so distraught and sad, we're gonna do a speed run to Bricklink and get our stuff.
Yes, sir.
Amazing!
I also ordered a couple other kimono suits and a weirdly obsessive amount of legacy masks. I'm also gonna give Kai his elemental fire sword. Another side character we're gonna add to this is Kimono J. I painted his bandana silver to match with the silver highlights on his suit. I also gave him his elemental lightning sword and the little medallion they look through to find the Temple of Light. Next up, we need some real baddies. These stone warriors. These guys are rock solid and could probably beat me in an arm wrestle. I don't know what Ninjago's obsession is with short villains, so we're gonna build one of these short stone army archers. And then we're gonna build the cool stone warrior. And for the spikes coming out the top, I got one of those new gold samurai pieces and painted it red. For a final touch, I gave him two of the biggest Lego swords I have ever seen. So there we have 4 awesome Ninjago minifigures. And at the end of the video, I'm gonna be using my diorama. I've been doing some serious makeovers on it, but let's get to building on Kai's fire mech. I'm going to start with the arms. I got my old Hero Factory out, which I haven't played with for a long time, and got some of the same sort of Hero Factory pieces, just on a bigger scale. Now this thing has the biggest shoulders I have ever seen. I saw this video that someone made. They used these long flat tile pieces in dark red, and I thought that would be an awesome idea. So I got some of the dark red pieces out and started working on these shoulders. I put a gold vent at the bottom of the shoulder. I also added some nozzle pieces on the side to give it more detail. Then I just clapped my hands and cloned another one. I used these 3-prong Technic pieces to make the shoulders actually lean forward slightly. In the original set, they just used gold ninja swords, but in the show it looks more like fire swords. So I got 2 fire swords and gives this thing just a bigger, better look. Then I moved down on the body and added some hips. I also added a place for Kai to sit. Another small detail I added to this was I got headlight bricks and 1x1 gold plates and put 4 of those onto the side of this robot to frame the body out even more. I don't care what you say, I love these new armor plate pieces for robots. I got one of them in red and added 2 triangular pieces going off it, and then I clapped my hands.
Yes, sir.
The iconic thing I knew I needed to have was these red vents on the side. I also used these flat macaroni pieces in dark red going around where this foot attaches to the leg.
Yes, sir.
One of my favorite details about the original set is this tiny little prison sticker on the back of it. So I snatched that piece off and put it on my new mech. Now it's time to work on the oversized hand. I got 2 gold robot arm pieces and stuck tiny gold swords inside of them. And for the other hand, I built this really cool, definitely not a flamethrower, and I incorporated a small function in it where you can spin the cannon from the back. But I feel like the Stone Warriors need something to counteract this giant robot. So I built a small catapult with spikes on the front that can shoot off what looks like the Overlord from that season, but we're just gonna pretend they're purple blobs of death. Many miles away from Ninjago, on the Dark Island, Jay is trying to find the mystical City of Light. Oh no! The Stone Warriors have set up an ambush! Run! Now Jay desperately needs your help to get out of the snare of the Stone Warriors. Build Kai's fire mech. Place Kai in the seat and jump into action with the heavy-duty flamethrower. Grab the Stone Warriors with his massive articulating hand. The Stone Warriors don't stand a chance against Kai's all-new fire mech. This Ninjago mock includes 4 minifigures: Kimono J, Kimono Kai, and 2 Stone Warriors. Once a ninja make it to the top of the mountain with Kai's fire mech, it's time to build the majestic Temple of Light. Back in 2013, the 3rd wave of Ninjago Lego sets came out. Some of these sets I really enjoyed, like Cole's Earth Driller and Kai's fire mech, but a few of these sets fell short. And the Temple of Light was definitely one of these sets. It's definitely an interesting build, And the golden mech is pretty cool, but it doesn't really resemble the one from the show. And honestly, looking through the instructions for it, it's very plain, blocky, and compared to some of the other Ninjago temples, it's pretty bad. So it's time for me to make a show-accurate version of this temple. We'll start by building the minifigures. For starters, I got Cole's, Jay's, Kai's, Zane's, and Lloyd's kimono suits, which personally are one of my top 3 favorite Ninjago suits. I love this sleek design, and once you line these kimonos up, they match each other so well. I gave each of them their original harness, but for the heads, I actually got their brand new Dragon's Rising head because these heads have more unique expressions than their old ones. Except, sorry for Zane, we're gonna use his original head because technically he wasn't a titanium ninja yet. I gave them their original Season 2 ninja masks, and man, these masks hit different. Now they just need their elemental blades, but that'll come later on in the video. For the villains, we have the epic Samukai.
Guys, honestly, I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep calling this guy Samukai. Samukai is the four-armed skeleton. This is General Kozu. It won't happen again. Hopefully.
With 4 arms. This minifigure is so cool on so many levels, and I love the intricate detail they put into the body. I also made another pretty generic stone warrior, other than the fact that he has a massive axe that can cut down the ninja. So it's time for the ninjas to set out on a quest to find this Temple of Light. Now, in the show, the Temple of Light is built into this big mountain. And it's basically a bit of a facade outside of the mountain, and then big doors opening up into this big cave room, where you have a bunch of other details that we'll get to later. I started with a rocky base. I was able to add some sand blue to the rock, because building dark gray rock over and over and over and over again can get kind of tiring, so I wanted to mix things up. So I added some sand blue. I also wanted to build a function into the base. In the show, there's this random, table looking thing in front of the temple, and I'm not actually sure what it is. It's just sitting there. I wanted to make it actually have a function. So when you turn this red knob, it made a cool function where the doors will actually open up eventually. I don't have it completed yet. After that, I worked on some of the back wall that is made out of rock because of this part of the mountain. And obviously, I had to use a couple of these big rock pieces because they're so helpful and nice, and they honestly look pretty good as a rock wall. Honestly, the interior of this mock had to look at least as good as the outside. So in the show, you've got 4 big pillars, and on the floor you've got emblems for each of the ninja. And in the middle, you've got Lloyd's emblem. Above it, you have a massive bell. So let's get building. I started by building 4 pillars, and I built them dark blue with a sand blue pattern going up each one of them. Now in the show, the ninja have to stick their elemental blades into the pillar to reveal the golden mech. So I made these little slits. I used 2 1x4 slit pieces and put them together. That honestly almost looks like a mailbox, but it's not, and you can fit the elemental blades in there perfectly. Now, I needed to make their emblems on the floor. The ninjas see a bunch of different etchings on the wall of what they've done in the past, so I think it's time for me to make some. I rushed to my computer and started working on designing these pictures. After about 2 hours of strenuous work, the keys for my keyboard were basically sticking to my fingers, but the stickers were done and they look fantastic. I purchased them, picked them up at the store, and once I got home, I cut them out, stuck them onto the pieces, and now I can place the emblems down on the floor with this nice golden rim around them. A fun fact is, I actually built the whole floor out of bricks going up and then laid it in there sideways to give it this smooth, sleek aesthetic. The first wall panel is instructions for where the ninja need to stand to get their elemental swords. The second wall panel is basically a mirror of the ninjas looking at themselves. The third wall panel is some history of Ninjago, and this is where the ninja find the Destiny's bounty. And finally, the fourth wall panel is some more history of when the Great Devourer attacked Ninjago City. After I placed those in, I also added some blue crystals to the wall where the light reflects off. And finally, on top of all these pillars, I placed a massive bell that can swing back and forth. Now Lloyd can hit it as much as he wants and make that beautiful Taco Bell sound. I also built in a little feature to this bell that you can actually slide it out. And now it can fit the golden mech. Now, there are 2 versions of the golden mech that have already come out. We've got the 2013 version and the 2020 version. But both of these are too big to fit this little area. And honestly, a smaller golden mech wouldn't be that bad. So for my golden mech, obviously the 2 main colors are gold and white. I looked at pictures of the golden mech from the show to get the proportions right. The legs are kind of short and squatty, and I used some of these disc pieces in light gray to detail the knee joints. On the thighs, I used these gold pieces that I think are from Hero Factory. and the feet use some chrome gold, which I really like. Moving up the body, I actually used one of those new golden slope pieces that came out in crystallized. Every joint on this mech is connected with mixel joints, and I used the newer finger pieces in gold for the hand. I also gave him a katana. Now that we have the golden disc, we can place it on this mech's head and actually fit it into the Temple of Light. And it fits in snug, and this mech honestly looks really cool, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. Now, back to the Temple of Light. The last little detail was a small table that I put with a scroll. Now, enough with the interior. Now it's time to work on the facade of this build. It starts with 2 red pillars going up, and I actually anchored these into the ground using these giant Technic pieces. I can literally just pick it up right here. It is very strong. I rounded off the front of these pillars with these slope pieces. Now for the doors, I built in that function so they could open. I built them dark tan, added some cool red and dark red detailing to make it look fancy and ancient. Above the door, I added some golden detailing using these wispy detail pieces in gold. I got a lot of dark red bricks out and built this rectangular beam that went above the 2 pillars. I tiled it off with dark red tiles to make it look very sleek. And then for the second section of the pillars, they go between red and white. I actually built these in an interesting way where they just slide onto the pillar and aren't actually attached with any studs. In between these 2 pillars, I added 3 rice paper windows with majestic dragons on them. In the middle of this, I added a small gong using a bronze shield piece. Then I built yet another rectangular platform in dark red and placed that above these 2 pillars. Finally, it was time for those white pillars with red little roof tiles going up them. I built 2 of these pillars, and the final touch was a couple flags I added to the rectangular platforms. Now it's time for the ninja to unlock their elemental blades and to defeat the oncoming stone warriors. Once the ninja reaches the summit of the mountain, they see a majestic facade. This Temple of Light is mainly red with splashes of white and gold. The 3 dragons on the front windows look majestic, and the massive door can swing open by the turn of this knob. The interior reveals 4 stunning pillars, and at the bottom of them, the ninja see their emblems. You can place each ninja by their emblem and Lloyd in the middle. Now Lloyd can hit the bell and the ninja can pull out, and it reveals the ninja's elemental blades that they can now use to fight the Stone Army. The Stone Army does not stand a chance against the ninja and their newfound weapons. But suddenly, General Kozu comes on the scene, and he is mad. The ninja now have to stick their elemental swords into the pillars and unleash the Golden Mech. This Golden Mech can take down General Kozu in one swing of his sword. This amazing Temple of Light set includes 7 minifigures. General Kozu, a stone warrior, Cole, Jay, Zane, Kai, and Lloyd, all in their kimono suits. Our next build here is in the midst of the final battle, when all the ninja are surrounded by the stone warriors. And I want to build this scene out of my own bricks. I started by laying down some rocks, then I had to figure out where I was going to situate all the minifigures, and I did this by laying down dark gray jumper plates to place the minifigures on. I built a little rock structure in one corner where Samukai was going to be standing so he could kind of stand out. Then I got Lloyd, Kai, Jay, Cole, and Zane all in their kimono suits. Then I set them in the middle and surrounded them by a bunch of stone warriors holding their swords out. This is a very suspenseful moment, and let's hope Dareth can find that ancient stone warrior helmet. I'm pretty happy with how this scene turned out, and I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. There's not much here except for the minifigures. Now it's time to rebuild the final battle that came out way back in 2013. One of the coolest episodes of Ninjago came out, and this was the final battle, where Lloyd took on the Overlord on top of a massive tower by transforming into his golden form and making a golden dragon. This was such an amazing episode, and I remember watching it at one of my friend's house the day this episode came out. It was epic. And obviously, I love making Ninjago creations on this channel, and it's time to level it up and build the final battle. We've got 3 major steps to this building process. First, we have to recreate the Overlord Dragon to look show accurate. Secondly, we gotta do the same with the Golden Dragon, make it show accurate and epic. Finally, we have to make that massive tower that they duel it out on top of, with, of course, a ton of minifigures and a lot of really cool details. So, let's get started with the Overlord Dragon. In the show, the Overlord Dragon is honestly one of the more interesting Ninjago dragons. This guy looks quite chubby and his face is very flat. But if we want to stay accurate to the show, we have to kind of recreate it like that. They made a version of this Overlord Dragon in 2021, but for this build, the Overlord Dragon definitely has to be bigger. We start with the body, and in the show, it's pretty fat, but we're gonna make it just a little bit more skinny and not make it look quite that interesting. We added metallic car hoods going down the front of it to give it a nice shimmery belly. We added these big slopes to build the belly out a bit more, and along the spine of this dragon, we added plenty of purple spikes. The neck was built with a Technic structure, so it couldn't really move that much, but it curves up so we can make the dragon in this very cool stance. We added ball and socket joints for where the wings were going to connect, and these big heavy-duty robot joint pieces for the legs. The head we built for this is quite squatty, kind of like the one in the show. We lined the mouth with plenty of these silver claws, and it's awesome when you shut the mouth, all these claws go together. We added 2 frills coming off the side of its face, and 2 spikes coming off the back. For the eyes, we actually used pink frog elements. And once the head was complete, we attached it to the neck. It is quite flat, but it looks pretty show accurate. Now that the head was done, it was time to move on to the wings. We built the same Technic structure as the legacy version of the Fire Dragon, and also sketched out on black cloth the same design as those wings have. Then I tediously cut them out and actually cut some holes in the wings to make them look a little bit more weathered and evil looking. Finally, at the end of the wings, I added some talons that could grab Master Wu and throw him. Moving down to the feet, in order to make them strong, obviously we had to use a lot of Technic. I used some of these dragon scale panel pieces that came out in 2020 for the legs. And then finally for the feet, he's got some more very sharp talons that could pick up Masako and throw her even farther than Master Wu. Ninjago is definitely in danger. For the tail, we continued that purple streak of spikes running along it, and made it into a couple different segments so you can twist it around a bit to give it more movability. Now that this massive Overlord Dragon was complete, it looks pretty ferocious and epic and kind of goofy at the same time. This evil Overlord Dragon has a wingspan of 24 inches, and from head to tail is 21 inches long. Wow. And now it's time to build up Golden Lloyd. I got his legacy body, but I had to go with the old original golden mask this time around. But now it's time to see if Lloyd can create his golden dragon and face off against his overlord. And who better to make Lloyd's golden dragon than my brother Carlin, who has made epic recreations of other ninja dragons. Let's welcome Carlin in and see what he can do to this golden dragon.
So LEGO has made 2 golden dragons before, one in 2013 and one in 2019 for Legacy. They were both cool, but 2013's definitely shows its age. It's made using big pieces and there aren't that many of them. It's a pretty simple build overall, reminiscent of a lot of those older dragons. 2019's on the other hand was like a little baby golden dragon. It was tiny. I mean, the head was cool. I do love those legacy dragon heads, but overall it just wasn't big enough. Now I've recreated most of the Ninja's dragons before, and today it's time to tackle the actual final one, Lloyd's golden dragon. The first problem is, I do have a lot of gold pieces in LEGO, but not many that would work well for a dragon. Thankfully, my brother Anthony has the Monkey King Warriors mech, which comes with a ton of gold pieces. And not just that, but they're metallic gold, which is probably the most beautiful gold color out there. Using those on this dragon is going to make it look spectacular. So now we have a whole box full of gold pieces. Let's get building. For the golden dragon, one of the biggest challenges, the wings, were already taken care of. Lloyd's NRG dragon came with these really cool golden green wings that work perfectly for this set. I literally just copied the wing structure from it. After finishing off the wings and adding a few of those metallic gold pieces for details, I moved on to the body. Even though he's now the golden ninja, Lloyd still has traces of green on him, and I wanted to keep that running through on the dragon. So to add that splash of color, I sprinkled dark green throughout the build, which really contrasted nicely with the gold. I also tried to smooth out the body as much as possible to make it look very sleek. This process was helped a lot because of these gold shield pieces. Anthony had a bunch in the mech, and I had a few in black, and together I was able to smooth out both the underside and the shoulders of the dragon. I was also able to use them on the legs to cover up the click joint that attaches them to the body. The legs were pretty simple with no crazy building techniques. And for the talons on the feet, I used the claw pieces that are used in the fantastic Wojira mock as its teeth. Now looking at concept art and the actual dragon from the show, I noticed that it had a split tail. And I was very surprised, but also very proud of LEGO for showing that accurately in both the old set and the legacy set. Kudos to you, LEGO. But of course that means I have to recreate it too. So using a couple of shorter katana pieces, plus some small ball and socket joints, I was able to add those. The neck and head were honestly not that hard. This dragon doesn't have a very long neck. And for the head, we just decided to go with the OG 2-piece one from the original 2013 set. This head honestly looks immaculate and works perfectly with this set. And last but not least, there's the saddle, because Lloyd needs a place to ride this dragon. and the final product looks amazing with all metallic gold. It's got a wingspan of 24 inches and a length of 19 inches. So we can place it by the Overlord Dragon and they're almost ready to fight. All they need is an arena. Arena time!
Now in the show, the Overlord makes this massive tower as kind of his headquarters, and it's got a row of stairs going from the top all the way down to the bottom along the outside of the tower. And it's time for us to take on the challenge of recreating at least some of this tower. Now this tower has to be big enough to fit the Overlord Dragon and the Golden Dragon, and they can both fit pretty comfortably on a 48 by 48 base plate, which means this tower is going to be huge. I started by grabbing this base plate and putting a Technic structure throughout it to make it very strong, and then I laid down dark gray plates along the top of it. Now it's time to make a rim of black bricks along the outside of this. The diameters of this rim along the outside are 50 studs by 50 studs. Then we start on the main chunk of the skyscraper. We got out every single black piece we had. I mean, this thing has a lot of Lego. To make it a little bit more detailed, as we built, we put these studs sticking out of the wall in different strips going down. Then we attached plates tiled off sideways going down it to make the skyscraper have a little bit more profile. Going down the skyscraper, we had to remember to add these 2x10 bricks every brick down that we went as the stairs. And once these stairs got to one corner of the skyscraper, we made a bit of a platform and then transitioned the stairs going down the other side of the skyscraper. Once the stairs were finished, we tiled them off with dark gray and added jumper plates where I wanted the minifigures to go. I also built that cannon that goes up and down the skyscraper using some transparent purple, black pieces, and these wacky tube pieces to power the guns on this cannon. Then I attached it to one of these platforms jutting out of the skyscraper. We weren't able to make this skyscraper quite as tall as it is in the show, and by the end it honestly kind of looked like an obsidian block from Minecraft. For my first minifigure, I'm going to build Evil Nia. I got Shade's body, and then added this terrifying head, and then put on Nia's hair. Now in the show, Dareth puts on a helmet and is able to control the whole stone army, and they go running up the tower. So I need to make as many stone warriors as I can. Once I had finished them, I placed them on, charging up this skyscraper. Now we needed all 4 of the ninja in their kimono suits, and in order to make each of these ninja look evil, I got their dragon's rising heads and flipped them around to their mask side, where they have these cool like yellow eyes with this interesting pattern that can definitely make them look evil. Then I placed them on the skyscraper. Then finally on the top of the skyscraper, I placed the Overlord Dragon and the Golden Dragon, and now they can face off. The final battle has finally started. Here we have the giant tower. And as you can see, starting down here, we've got the stone army racing to the aid of Lloyd. But they're being stopped by Nia in this pretty show-accurate cannon I built that can swivel back and forth and go up and down. It can basically shoot anywhere or anything at once, and it'll instantly turn it evil. As you can see, Cole, Jay, Zane, and Kai all have been turned evil and are ready to stop Lloyd from defeating the Overlord. But Lloyd has already gotten his golden power and has created this amazing golden dragon. On top of the skyscraper, you can see the golden dragon and the Overlord Dragon ready to face it off in this final battle for Ninjago. Technically, I guess it's not the final battle, but you know, it's one of the more epic final battles. I love how dynamic these dragons look and how intense this scene looks. The Overlord looks like it's about ready to eat Lloyd with its vicious teeth, and this golden dragon shines out in the darkness. It looks so cool. I had a lot of fun recreating this final battle. Thank you guys so much for watching this Season 2 compilation. Comment down below what your favorite mock is, and I cannot wait to see you in the next Brick Legends video. Peace out.